Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel Watch and see how this specific watch holds up in 2023. Now, this watch came out not that long ago. It hasn't been quite a year yet. It's probably been about like 9 months or so. But the thing I really liked about the Pixel Watch was that it was an interesting, movement by Google. This wasn't, I think, the first watch they've ever made. They own like the Fitbit company, so they kind of make like health monitors or whatever. But like with the Pixel Watch, I feel like Google did a decent job with it. They definitely, I like the design of this watch. I like the standard bands that you get with it. And because it is a stock, Google makes stock Android for the most part, this is going to be a stock Wear OS type of watch. And I think that was a really cool thing that Google did here. I will tell you though, this watch kind of came and went. I haven't really heard too many people talk about this thing like crazy. In fact, their Google I/O keynote was yesterday. That was probably the first time I heard people talk about it in a long time, which kind of reminded me of this watch, which did remind me to make this video. So if you want to pick up the Pixel Watch, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Pixel Watch, I love the design of this watch. I think it looks very unique. Even though this thing has a circular design very similar to the Galaxy watches, I still think these ones look very nice. And with that curved glass, oh my goodness, that looks so beautiful. Very reminiscent to something like a, Apple Watch, for example. The Apple Watch kind of has like a curved glass architecture to it too. The Galaxy watches are just flat displays, which a lot of people like. But just looking at the Pixel Watch, it just looks so beautiful. I love that so much. And definitely that in and of itself is a very, very nice touch. It's a 41mm display, so it's a pretty good one. It's a circular design, so pretty much everything looks like a normal watch for the most part. On the side, you are getting that one button on the right side, which it's like a digital crown kind of thing. You can click it in, you can do all sorts of stuff with it, but most of the time you're probably going to be like actually using the watch, like clicking on it and stuff, so there's not really a big point even using that button too often. On the back, you do have that little wireless charging puck. So for a certified charger, you can actually plug it into the back and charge up your Pixel Watch from it. So that's pretty cool. And that is it for the actual watch portion. Now you do have the bands that you can choose from as well. So from both bands, like I said, they're like plastic bands, but they still feel very good. I will say, I think the bands feel better on the Pixel Watch than they do on the Galaxy watches. So at least the stock bands that you're getting, that's kind of the vibe I was getting. Not the end of the world, not the biggest deal or anything, but that was one of the things I was kind of noticing, was that you are getting that much better of a feeling watch, I would say, from a Pixel Watch band than on something like the Galaxy Watch bands. So something to keep in mind there, but regardless, I think the Pixel Watch looks great. I think Google did a great job with this when it first came out, and I still think it looks very, very good for the most part. Now, moving on to the actual internal software and everything, you're going to be using the Pixel Watch for the most part, basically for standard stuff like checking notifications, checking your steps and your runs and all that other stuff. So I think this is a great companion if you have a stock Android phone, or even if you have any Android phone, as long as it's somewhat supported with software recently, you should be able to use the Pixel Watch with it, which I think is really, really cool. I feel like with Wear OS, as soon as the next Wear OS update comes out, you are going to be able to use this thing with it, and I think that's a really cool thing. Just like with the Google Pixels, as soon as the next Wear OS update comes out, this thing's going to be first in line, and you can install the betas on it, you can do all sorts of stuff with it, and I love that. I love seeing that, and as long as you have an Android phone with Android 8.0 or newer, Android 8 came out so long, it's like 5 versions of Android old now, 6 versions almost. As long as you have a phone that's that or newer, you should be able to use this watch with it, which is really nice. Now, the things I typically use my smartwatch for, I use an Apple Watch, but the things I usually use my smartwatch for are checking my steps. I check my notifications that come in. Very rarely do I respond to notifications. I very rarely take calls on my watch as well. So usually I'm just checking notifications. Maybe if I'm in a pinch and I can't have my phone with me for some reason, I can look on my watch and maybe do a few things here and there. But for the most part, I typically just use my watch as I normally would. I check the time, and that's kind of all I do with it. And with the Pixel Watch, you can do that times 1,000. There's endless possibilities you can have with something like a Pixel Watch. So the world is really your oyster. You can figure out what you personally prefer on a Pixel Watch, and you can basically see it in that way. I don't think this would be the watch though I would recommend people to buy if you're just checking notifications or stuff, like if you're just checking the time, because there are so many things you can do with a smartwatch. I would implore you to see what other things you can do with a smartwatch, because you'd be kind of doing yourself a disservice if you just get this watch and only check the time, especially if you have the ability of connecting it to your Android phone. you can do all sorts of stuff with this watch, which is beautiful. So overall, what I'll definitely tell you is I like the Pixel Watch. I think Google did a great job with it. It's not perfect, but I think for the most part, there's not really a lot to complain about here. I noticed that with smartwatches, there's just like not that much you can kind of complain about compared to like phones. Phones are just way more controversial. With these types of watches, they all kind of do the same thing. And since I'm only like really checking notifications and checking the time, that's kind of all I do with some of these watches. So in terms of that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.